Hi, it's Rupert Hine here from Action Coach near Kinross, and I'm joined today by Imogen Russon-Taylor of Kingdom, Scotland. Hello, Imogen.
Hello, nice to be here.
Well, welcome along to the spotlight. Um, so, tell us all about Kingdom, Scotland. Uh, what is it you do?
So I have created Scotland's first fragrance house. I worked in luxury goods and the whiskey industry for 20 years and just saw that there was a real appetite for this sense of place that whiskey can deliver. And there were so many parallels. I've loved perfume from being a child, and there are so many parallels between creating a fine spirit or even a fine wine and the whole world of perfume. And I just saw an opportunity to create a perfume house for Scotland. So I've been doing that for 6 years now. Um, yeah, which
Fantastic.
has gone very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's so. Where do you start? So here we have Scotland, an incredible place of beauty, some incredible geology. I know you're into geology. So, what is it you pull from Scotland to create iconic fragrances that speak about the country?
I mean, it is quite an ask, but I suppose I am LVMH trained. Hennessy, Louis Vuitton, the biggest luxury goods group in the world, and I really took time. I took 2 years of research. So it starts with research. It starts with really making sure that the stories are authentic, and they tap into my passion. So I have an incredible passion for landscape, for terroir. I did geology, physical geography at Edinburgh University. Scotland has arguably the most complex geology in the world, and I'm a bit of a rock nerd. So it's just part of my life. I just love it. So I've definitely woven that into my fragrances. And again, that's how I mentioned approaching perfume as art. How do you look at rock and landscape and create that, evoke that feeling? But also authentic stories of Scotland's perfume past. Of notes that would bring, I did lots of nosing to look at notes that started with nature and evoked, for example, a Caledonian forest. We all know walking in a Scottish forest and how, different seasons, how exhilarating that can be. I think the modern phrase is forest bathing. But I tried to bring that to life in different notes and scents. So I started with passion and research and finding the finest ingredients that sort of evoked nature. So that's where I started.
Brilliant. So 2 years of research whilst establishing the business. Um, so where did that take you? So what sort of research were you doing that allowed you to dig into the the history of Scotland and the things that you could create with the perfumes you've produced?
Well, I worked with Scottish Enterprise, and they have this section of their support called Innovation Grants, which is the conduit between academia and entrepreneurs. And I saw a great opportunity to work with a university. And I worked with St Andrews University, the oldest university in Scotland, and their history department. And I wanted to look into Scotland's perfume past, and I needed their help. I knew it would be out there, but I'm not a historian. I didn't have the skills or the access. And we went through the National Records, the National Library, the National Archives. We ended up the Royal Botanic Gardens archive, which goes right back. Some of the samples are right back to 1580. So I had this incredible historic team that helped me uncover stories of Scotland's perfume past, some of the grooming efforts of people in the Scottish royal court. Ingredients, Scottish botanists I discovered are the most prolific in the world, and today and in yesteryears. So we looked at ingredients and different stories. So yeah, I had an amazing expert help to do that research. Yeah, it was good.
Fantastic. And one of your perfumes is linked to one of those female botanists who in yesteryear was out exploring the Arctic, I think.
Yes, I mean, that came to me while we were doing the research, and that was at the Botanics at the Royal Botanic Garden in Edinburgh. And I was in the archive, and these two fabulous archivists had on this big oak table put out lots of different botanists to talk to me about the key botanists in that had brought, effectively made the British garden as we know it today. And I'd not studied botany, so I didn't know these figures. And there was Sybil Douglas, and there was incredible stories and pictures. And at the end of the table was a box. It was like an archive box. And I said, what's in that one? Because everything else was through books. And they said, oh, that's Isabel Wiley Hutchinson. She bequeathed all of her records, her photography, her letters, her diaries were all left to the state, and her drawings, which is incredible. So a lot are at the Botanics, some are in the National Gallery of Modern Art, and some are in the National Museum. And I was able to really get a feel for her. So in the sea of male botanists, there was this one archive box of a woman, and I just wanted to hear about her. And her story grasped me. It was amazing. She was a woman before her era, born in 1889, and she effectively hitched a ride to Greenland. You know, this is a time before the things like North Face, before she had the language. She lived with Inuit. She basically studied the people, the place, the botany. She worked for Kew Gardens. She worked for Edinburgh Botanic Gardens, and she was also the writer in residence for National Geographic, and she was the first woman to get the Royal Scottish Geographic Prize. And she's kind of an unsung hero. So I just thought, wow, I want to dedicate a cent to this this amazing lady's work and life and work. So that's a great, it's called Albora, Alba, the ancient name of Scotland, and it's Aura. And it's do you want me to tell you what it smells like?
Absolutely.
So it's really complex, as all the kingdom scents are, but she loved the silence that an Arctic landscape can provide. And we perhaps all know that, you know, after a night of snow and you've got blue skies, and there is a sense of silence. And it's there's so much beauty in that. And this is when the sun is coming through and making sort of some of the frozen botanicals just starting to thaw a little bit. And there's that fresh, icy, cold air that you inhale that makes you feel alive. So the scent opens with a really expansive, cold air note. And then it has, which is amazing. People say, oh, it smells cold. And then it moves to botanicals encased in ice. So Artemisia, juniper, just a really icy, fresh, quite a sharp scent. And then it moves to have a lot more sophistication at its heart. She was at a height in the 1920s when a lot of classic perfumes were created. So it has a nostalgic note. And then its base is rock moss and ambergris, a plant-derived ambergris, and lichen and musk. So it lasts a long time on the skin. So it's fresh outdoor, but it also has a sense of sophistication. It's an interesting scent.
It sounds absolutely fascinating. So one of the things that comes across is that you've built a business around a passion for fragrance and luxury and Scotland and history, and you've developed it using stories. So how have you used those stories that you've come across to build the business?
It's a difficult one. I think storytelling is incredibly important for all brands, but particularly in a luxury arena. I mean, perfume, fragrance, beauty is an incredibly busy market, and it's very, very difficult to stand out. And I think perhaps in the past 10, 20 years, people have focused on ingredients, you know, that they've been headlined, where actually I wanted to, and that probably comes from an aromatherapy background, that sort of world, and it's you can layer notes, and it's a more simplistic linear reveal. I wanted to go back to perhaps the complexity that Scotch whisky inspires, that you have so many different notes and expressions within it, and wine as well. So I wanted to go back to sort of perfumery, perhaps as it was created in the 1920s, where there was a sense of complexity. So I think storytelling in scent is where I ended up. I think I always wanted to have my own business, and I didn't quite know what it was going to be. It just came to me like a moment of epiphany. And when I was pushing a pram with my third child, actually, around the Botanics, and I thought, perfume house, there isn't a perfume house, because it encapsulates everything I'm passionate about. And I think that's quite unusual for someone to find. I feel very lucky that I've managed to do that, and that people like it as well, that there's a real appetite for it. So yes, I think storytelling is at the heart of everything I do. Mm.
You mentioned whiskey there, and you've got a background working with the whiskey industry,
Yeah.
but you've carried that forward. So I believe you've got a bit of a cutting edge partnership here.
Oh yes, so I'm still involved with the whiskey industry because I love whiskey. I think I was introduced to whiskey in my working life when I was about 24, and that's probably when you're sort of becoming more mature and sophisticated in your palate, whether Epicurean, whether it's food or drink. So it came at a good time. And I've loved whiskey ever since. I just really understood, got into the complexity, realized I had quite a good nose. So I do love whiskey, and I've obviously working for in that industry for 20 years. You've got friends, people that you've worked with are friends and colleagues. So I do keep abreast of it. And Macallan actually reached out to me during lockdown. Macallan whiskey, which is arguably the most luxurious whiskey in the world. I have great respect for Macallan and everything they do. And they wanted me to create a sense of place with them through aromas. And we ended up creating a collection of luxury scented candles, so that anywhere in the world you can get the sense of place of the Macallan distillery and estate. Which was a gorgeous project to work on. I really enjoyed that, and particularly during lockdown, it kind of kept me sane, because I could go to the Highlands, go to Speyside, and outdoor, and just get the creative inspiration and create something really special that I knew that would energize people internationally. So that was a lovely project. I was very lucky to get that. And it's very exciting that they reached out to Kingdom Scotland, because they could see what I was doing worked well with their spirit and what they're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. So
Mm.
so all of that plays on the passion. It plays on the skills you've built, the nose you've got for creating the scents. Where did you turn to for, or how have you built the business side of the business? How have you created the machinery around not just producing the scents, but marketing them, building the team, and so on?
I think one of the things, I worked in the corporate world for most of my life. I hadn't had my own business. I'd freelance, but that's a very different scenario. And I applied to the RBS Accelerator when it first started, when it was part of Entrepreneurial Spark. And I was the first cohort once RBS took it over, and it was amazing. I met some fabulous entrepreneurs, camaraderie that I still soundboard with today. Went on a really, really interesting journey where we, looked into the world. Quite a few of us had not had our own businesses before, and we just were jumping off that cliff into doing that. And the support and mentors through the RBS Accelerator was incredible. And then also Scottish Enterprise. I mean, I think we're very lucky being in Scotland. There is a lot of support up here and help. So that was a great support. But I think having a background in PR and communications, I worked in international comms for some of the biggest brands in the world. You, on a comms level, you are exposed to so many business decisions and so many risk potentials, and so many aspects of marketing, of influencing, of networking, stakeholder management. I think it's a great grounding for having your own business. So that's really, really helped me. But yes, there are areas where I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm walking in the dark, and I have to ask for help, or I have to make, sometimes I make mistakes, or sometimes I do it differently. And it actually is a bit of a gem because I don't know what the rules are. So yeah, it is interesting. I think that's probably in logistics, production, read legislation. I mean, how would I know those in perfume and with my background? But I've got some amazing advisors. That's what you have to pull around you,
Yeah,
advisors, yeah, to help you.
absolutely. Having the right teams, huge. So what are some of the common misconceptions around business, and how have you addressed them?
That it's all amazing and rosy, and you wake up in the morning and you decide that you can do whatever you like, and that it's so much less stressful than having a job. I mean, the roller coaster that you have. The highs are incredible, but the lows can be incredibly stressful as well. It is like jumping off a cliff when you've had a salary and a car and a pension and a trajectory of a career, and you suddenly throw that out. Yeah, it's stressful. It's stressful, but I just really believe in this idea, and I get so excited by the appetite for it. You know, I haven't exported yet, and people really want this product across the world, and I can grow the product portfolio. So I can't let it go. You know, I that's what keeps me going, because I know it's going to work. And I just love it. It's my fourth child.
Well, it's interesting because it's sort of Viktor Frankl who originally came up with the concept that under stress, the thing that gets you through is having that unshakable belief in a core purpose. If you've got that sort of lodestone you're following, that gets you through. And that shines through with you. You've got this passion and enthusiasm for what you do. And how do you use your business to champion getting more female entrepreneurs into business ownership? Because we know there's so much untapped talent out there. How do you, because I know you've been contributing to this debate. How do we get more people involved?
I think it's a really, really difficult one. And I was recently at a female business networking session called Females Rise. It came up from London and did an Edinburgh cohort, and met a lot of people I've met through the entrepreneurial community, through RBS, etc. And it's really bad. Apparently it's even gone down. It's even worse how many women get supported by investment. You know, apparently in Scotland it's gone down to 1.5% of all PE investments, which is quite shocking, really. So it's a really tough world. So I engage in this female entrepreneur community, absolutely. I don't necessarily choose to employ women, but I have quite a lot of women on the team that support me, and suppliers. Maybe that's the nature of the product, even though it's unisex. I do have male designers, but it just so happens that I think, I'm of that midlife age bracket. And sometimes when you've had children and it's been very, very intense, you might have taken your foot off the corporate world because you've just had to. You've had, sometimes someone in the relationship has to be there for the kids. They finish school at 2:50, 3:00. What job finishes then? It's a really tough one. You have to have someone there for them. So I think there's quite a lot of untapped talent in women that find it really hard to get back into work, but they're mega brains and they're trained and they're loyal and they're incredible with deadlines and timekeeping, because they have to be. So I think there's a big untapped talent there. And I think COVID has been really, really cruel to women. I think it's been a tough one in particular. I mean, I've seen that with me, my family, my friends, my contemporaries. You tend to take the mental load of the family. The woman just tends to, with just the culture we're in. And I think that sort of hindered because there was a lot of mental load. You know, I personally, I had two primary school kids and a secondary school kid that I had to homeschool and do my business and cook and exercise and entertain. And I think that thwarted people's aspirations to start a business. They wanted something stable. So I think that we're still coming out of that. We're still not out of that properly. So yeah, encouraging women to do a business. I think access to funding is really, really difficult. Confidence. And there are some great groups that one can join, but I just think I need to encourage more and more. That's part of a passion I have.
So what would be your one piece of advice to somebody sitting at home who's looking to re-engage with the world of work beyond the home, who has an idea and doesn't know the first step of getting onto that business ownership ladder?
Do you know, a book that really helped me was The Lean Startup, because it wasn't so scary. You know, it's fail fast, fail cheap, fail fast, fail cheap, which makes it feel like, okay, it's not so scary. And the whole thing with entrepreneurial spark as well was #GoDo. You know, just try it, just do it. You do it as a side hustle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Learn from it, change it. You can change when you're small and you're learning. You can change things all the time. So I think, yeah, just get that book, The Lean Startup, and it'll give you confidence that it's achievable and you can have a go and see what happens.
Fantastic.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. So the lean startup, fail fast, fail forward. The only failure is the failure to learn.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Imogen, thank you. That's been a phenomenal conversation. Thank you for all your advice. Thank you for your passion. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the international stage soon.
Thank you very much.